seeing here is our UI, and the VM in question is Linux prod. So there's a bunch of things I could do here. I could restore this VM, right? If something went awry with it, I could just simply get it back to the last point in time that I have, which is represented by these marks. But what's more interesting is I'm going to create a copy of this VM. So I'll simply click this button, right? I want to create a new VM. I'm going to call it Linux Dev. Not Linux Deck. I was a Digital Equipment Corporation person way back in the day. I think I got one smile out of that. So that's pretty much all I have to do. I'm going to take this copy of the VM, I'm going to mount it to that ESX6 host in the cluster. I'm going to call it Linux Dev. And I'm specifying a data store, but I want to call out the fact that I'm only going to be putting metadata about that VM on that data store. The actual VM DK is going to be served up by our technology. It's going to be a virtual copy of the source VM as of that point in time. And here's the anticlimactic part. I'm just going to click a button and it's going to go do its job. And that's it. So let me go jump over to the vCenter. Oop, there we go. That was pretty quick. Linux Dev. So there's many applications of this sort of function. One that comes to mind is tester development. A lot of us, so I'm a DBA, right? I know a lot about applications. A lot of applications are hosted in a virtual space. So what if you want to create a non-prod copy of an app and it happens to be running in a VM? Just simply capture the VM, use this process, and now I've got a development copy of the app and the entire VM. So there's probably very little you have to do at this point to actually stand up that non-prod copy of the app. It's already there. You just boot the VM, maybe change the IP, and that's it. Any questions thus far? And even a DBA can do it. So now something I'm a little bit more familiar with. Databases. So the database that you're looking at over here, ProdDB. So how many DBAs do we have here? Or Oracle database or where, folks? So this is a Oracle 11204 database that we're protecting, ProdDB. It contains credit card information, like I'm sure a lot of databases do in your organization. So you'll notice this little symbol, it's marked as sensitive. So our tool has multiple layers of security, one of which is you can mark something as sensitive, which we've done here, because it contains credit card data. However, I want my developers to have access to this database on a regular basis. But for PCI reasons, they can't have the credit card numbers. So what we've done is we've stood up a mechanism where on a regular basis, in this case, every Monday morning, is going to take a copy of this database, it's going to mask out those credit card numbers, and it's going to have a copy that the DBAs can simply click on in this UI, generate as many copies as they want, and it'll be up-to-date, refreshed production data, just sans the credit card information. And they just access that from the same tab. You'll notice the UI consistency. Whether I'm restoring a VM or whether I'm restoring a database, the UI is effectively the same. The gearbox that's actually doing this work is what we call a workflow. Fortunately for me, this ran successfully on Monday. It took about 5 minutes to run. which is the other point I want to make. We're an incremental forever technology, so it doesn't really matter how big the data source is. All of our operations run extremely quickly. Whether it's a capture operation or one of these mount operations, they're always very fast. So this job ran in 5 minutes. It took a production database, it masked it out, and it gave a refresh copy in an admittedly overloaded lab environment, and it took only a couple of minutes. So to access this, I'm going to go over to Restore. And this live clone is actually where we have this mass copy. So here it is, my every Monday morning copy. I'm going to say mount. And I'm going to copy the Oracle home because you don't want to see me type it. Whenever I get on a podium, my typing skills go to 0. So I'm just going to have to supply only a couple pieces of information here. And hopefully I won't fat finger my password and everyone here will see it. All right, so I'm just going to copy this and we'll be off and running. All right, so on this screen, for anyone who's familiar with Oracle, this database is on a rack cluster, so it's a cluster database. I'm just going to send it over to the second node in the cluster just for grins and giggles, which is the one that's selected. I'm going to say appware mount. We're going to call this devdb. The production was prod.db, so this is development copy, so why not? Oracle's the OS username. Oracle home. And that's it. So our automation and orchestration is going to do the rest of the work. So while I talk here for a minute, this is going to go to that second node in the rack cluster. It's going to take a virtual copy of that Oracle database. It's going to bootstrap an instance called devdb, and it's going to get it up and running. And what we're going to have is the production database sends those credit card numbers. So while it's running, let me go see what the credit card numbers look like in the prod database. And I promise you, they're not real credit card numbers. Oopsie. So as you can see, if anyone here is familiar with Swing Bench, a nod out to Dominic Isles, these are his faux real credit card numbers. So this is what's in the production database. So as you can see here, it's starting to work. MassDB is the SID that I use to create the copy, so it's basically bringing up MassDB and then it's going to rename it to devdb. While this is doing its thing, does anyone have any questions? Partitioning? Yeah, the question is, does it support partitioning? Yeah, it supports pretty much every feature of the Oracle database. The way it captures it is more version dependent than feature dependent. So we support 10, 11, and 12. So as long as you're within that range of versions, you're fine. Are there any other questions? The question was, can I roll to a point in time? And the answer is yes. So for haste, I just use the current point in time. But we can capture archive logs with a database. You select the granularity as to how often you capture the logs, and then you can restore to any point in time within the granularity of those logs. So you can go back in time if it makes sense. So the question was, what else can we do with credit card information? Yeah, I mean, we could pretty much do whatever credit card operation you need to do. Honestly, anything that you could put into a program or script, we can integrate into this process. So this is Oracle. We can call out to Oracle's built-in masking functionality if you've licensed it. We can call your own custom masking or redaction routines if you have it. We could even call a third-party masking product, and we have partnerships with companies if you don't already have a solution. Now we got DevDB. And there we have different, yet still faux, credit card numbers. So this is easily demonstratable and auditable. You can tell your PCI auditors, look, our developers make 100 copies of this every day, but, chill out. There's no production credit card data in there at all. The question was, how much storage is this using? So we're a space-efficient technology. Beyond the first capture, we effectively only store changes. So if you have a 5 terabyte database, you want to have 10 copies. It's not 10 times 5. It's 5 plus whatever the change rate is, which is usually low. So 5 plus some minor amount, which is the other power of this product. Because a lot of other solutions require you to have a lot of storage, perhaps a lot of very expensive storage. We can drastically reduce that storage. And plus, we move this out of your production environment. So again, for anyone who's infrastructure focused here, you could take these databases out of your very expensive real estate and put them really wherever you want. It's just whatever IOPS you're going to drive against it is really the only thing you'd have to consider with regards to where you put it. Any Oracle Engineered Systems customers here? No. So I used to sell Exadata. They're not cheap. So if you own an Exadata, if you've ever taken a look at what the spindle cost is on a cell server, right? So we can take this off of your Exadata for non-product copies. We could actually serve the non-product copies back to your Exadata compute nodes, but you could free up that cell server ASM space, that premium cell server ASM space that you're paying $10,000 per disk for production data. And we can take your non-prod data off and help extend your Exadata investment. I think I'm getting pretty close to time. Are there any other questions? What other environments do we cover? So I didn't have time to do it here, but we cover SQL Server just as well as Oracle. So everything I did here with Oracle, we could do with SQL Server. I demonstrated VMware. We also support Hyper-V. We support SharePoint. We support Exchange. Honestly, we could probably support any RDBMS you have. We have customers that run the gamut. We have customers that run MySQL, DB2. We run physical or virtual. We support both. We can support physical or virtual. So, again, we got customers that are on AIX and HPUX physical boxes, and then customers that are on VMware and Hyper-V. I think we even have an open VMS customer. I did mention I was a former digital equipment person a long time ago. Well, I want to thank everyone for listening to me here today. My name is Mike Minicino. The company is Actifio. Just right back over there. Please stop by and give us a visit. Everyone have a great day.